Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesigntechtips.com. Well, we've got a fun one for you today. Somebody actually requested this. They pointed us to a URL. Usually I don't click on those, but out of curiosity I did. And they had some animated buttons. So that's what we've done today. We've created these animated buttons that are going to grow and spin. And of course you can link them to anywhere you want, either on the page or anywhere else on the web. So let me take you through it. So here we've got our page, and if you look at the top there, I've got 6 little buttons. When I hover over them, they're going to rotate and grow a little bit. You take your mouse off, they're going to go back to how they was. And of course you can link these to anywhere you want, on-site or off-site, wherever you want to link yours to. Really easy to do. Really nice little eye-catching feature to have on your website. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. And let's start a new section for this. A little blue plus for the section. I'm going to use a regular section. Inside, put as many or as few columns as you want for yours. I'll just put 3 in here and I'll pop this in the middle. Let's actually go over here and put a module in. I'm going to use a Divi icon module today. There it is right there. Divi comes with just about everything you need to build any website. If you want to check it out, you can try it out free from the link down below this video. Okay, choose whatever icon you want to put in yours. Let's just throw that one in. Obviously down below you can link this to anywhere you want. Let's link it perhaps to this contact form down there. I've got a CSS ID of CON for this, so I can link it by putting a hashtag in there, CON, and I'll explain this for anybody that doesn't know in a moment. That way, when we click on this now, it'll just roll down and bring this contact form up to the top of the page. Background wise, give it whatever background color you want. I guess I'll use the same colors I used last time. I'm going to put a red in there. Let's move over to our design now. And the icon itself, I'm going to make that white in color. I want to take it down quite a lot in size. Let's perhaps take it down to 25 pixels. Whatever works for you. Let's just make it a bit bigger so that you can see. If I was building a site, I'd probably keep it fairly small like that. Now to make it a little bit more like a button, we can do that in our spacing down below here using a bit of padding. So let's give it 10 or 15 pixels. I'll try 10. I've just put in the 10, it'll put the pixels in. That's for the top. If we hit the chain, it'll do the bottom. I think that's going to work. We'll do similar for left and right. Again, just put in the 10, it'll put in the pix for you. Hit the chain, it'll do the right. Great. And I want to turn this into a circle, a bit like the ones on top. I think the ones on top are slightly bigger, but size is entirely up to you. So to change it into a circle, we can do that down in border. If you want it completely round, you've got to start with a square. And that looks pretty square to me. Make sure you've got the little chain check there and it'll do all 4 corners at once for you. I'm going to put 50 and the % sign. That'll make it completely round. Fantastic. Well, we've got our little button there. And as you can see, when I put my mouse on it, it changes to a hand. So it's going to link, hopefully, to our little contact form down there. But to make it more interesting, I like to have it grow and spin when it does that, or when we hover over it at least. And there's no coding involved in this today, really easy to do. But before I do that, I'll just explain what I did down here with the CSS ID. So let's just save this. Okay, linking to sections with anchor tags, really useful thing to know how to do, really easy. We've got sections on our page. Each of our section I've given what they call a CSS ID, which is a name that you can identify it with. Once you've given it a CSS ID, you can link to it via either a button or your menu links at the top, and it'll scroll automatically down to that section. Or I should say that section will automatically scroll up into view for you. I'm sure you've seen this on a lot of websites. Really easy to do. I thought I'd go over this for anybody that didn't know what I was doing there. But like I say, really easy, really great thing to know. Let's get back to the build. Okay, to link to any section on your page and have it scroll like I did there, as I mentioned, we can use a CSS ID. And I've linked to this particular section right here, blue tab for a section, which is a contact form. If we go into the section, go over to the advanced is always where you'll find CSS IDs and classes. I've given this a CSS ID of con, and you can give it any ID you want, but it needs to be unique. There can only be one of them with that name on this page. So as you may have noticed, to link to the section with a CSS ID of con, with our little button here, went down to link, link's always under content, and put hashtag con. You've just got to put a hashtag in front of the CSS ID. For instance, if I wanted to link to perhaps this gallery down here, I know I gave this a CSS ID of gal. Advanced CSS IDs, there it is, gal right there. If we want to link to that instead, I'm sure you know exactly what to do here. Link, hashtag, and the CSS ID. And you can do that with your menus to link to sections. We've done that with one-page scrolling sites. Really handy thing to know. So I thought I'd just go into that for anybody who didn't know quite what was going on there. Great. Well, let's get back to our button now, and we'll create a hover effect. Do that. Of course, we need to go back into the button itself, dark tab for the module. I'm going to have the background color change to perhaps blue on hover. Background. Common to all Divi modules, if you hover over the dark writing, if there's a little arrow there, we can have two separate values. One for desktop when the mouse is not on it, and a completely different one for hover, with this tab right here, obviously when the mouse is on it. Let's change that to blue. Great, well it's going to change color now we hover over it, but I would like it to grow a little bit too, get a little bit bigger. Okay, there's a couple of ways we could do this. We could do it with padding, and actually change the icon size itself, or we can go over to our design and do it with transform and transform scale, which is the first one we see here. And again, we only want to do it on hover. I actually did it with padding for these, but the easiest way, so you only have to change one parameter, is with the transform here. So let's make sure we're on the scale, get our little arrow up, and if it's not there, just hover over the dark writing again, it will appear. Make sure we're on the hover state. Make sure your little change check to do both sides at once. Decide how much you want it to grow. I think 30 or 40% is plenty. That's great. And then when they get back off of it, it's going to shrink and go back to the red. That works absolutely perfectly. And just for a bit more fun, I thought I'd like to have it spin. So, still in transform over here, if we look at our third tab, we've got transform rotate. And if we rotate around this axis, I can have it spin like a wheel. So on desktop, I want it right side round. On hover, I'm going to drag this pretty much all the way, but it's actually got to go to 359, not 360, because it won't work. It's if you put it to 360, it doesn't think it's got to move any. So if we put it to 359, that's almost a full revolution. So now it's going to spin when it does that. Perfect, just exactly what I want. I want to slow it down just a little bit for a bit of grace. And again, you can do that in any of these modules. Over in the advanced, if you go down to transitions, there's the default 300 milliseconds that it gives it, which is pretty quick, just under a third of a second. I'm going to take mine up to closer to a second, 3/4 of a second, 800 milliseconds, something like that. Don't want any delay. I'll leave it on ease. Ease in, ease out is usually my go-to for hover effects, but this works with ease for this one. So let's just save this and see what we've got now. Save our page changes, hit the little purple button, save draft or publish if you're ready, and let's exit the Visual Builder. There's our little button down there. When I hover over it, it's going to grow and spin. When I click on it, it should take us down to that gallery. There we go. Fantastic. just exactly what I wanted. And just rinse and repeat if you want to do it again. I've got that one going a little bit bigger there. But of course, that's entirely up to you. You can make it as big or as small as you like. That's spinning, taking us exactly where I want to go. And of course, you don't have to link to the page. You can link it anywhere on the web. Perfect. So there we have it. There's how to add some little animated buttons that are going to spin and grow to your site. Very eye-catching feature, especially on your desktop site. It's going to work really well. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, because it's always great to hear from you, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now, if you're interested in hover effects and have enjoyed this today, have a look over here in a moment. There'll be a hover effects playlist that's going to pop up, and there's hundreds of them that I've done there for you. Most of them are without coding. Some of them are with a bit of coding, bit of CSS. Don't let that put you off, though. I've done it all for you. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.